Nick and Moses from Folk Hogan.
It's true.
And we're going to talk about our next show coming up.
This Saturday,
we
are going to be playing the tailgate party up at U of U for the game. If you want to come join us, I'm sure it's going to be a rocking good time. So if you want to come hear some loud music, be around a bunch of people having a blast. If you're up there seeing the game, come hang out with us. Come get some free high fives. Cameron maybe he'll kiss your tummy if you're lucky. Yeah. Who can say no to a good time?
See you there.
Nobody I like. Welcome to the Folk Hogan podcast, where we deep dive into all the weird things that our band Folk Hogan does. We got band stories, behind the scenes action, everything in between, whether we're talking about new music or old music or stories of us being on the road or playing the over 1,000 shows that we have, interviews with each other. We're just gonna, that's what we're here for. So thanks for joining us. Chips, how are you?
I'm pretty good.
Good.
I'm tired from this weekend. We did a lot.
Yeah, 2 shows. 2 shows this weekend. We played Friday at Ice House with Bell and the Blackbird, which was a blast.
I didn't know anything about them going in.
No?
And I was totally floored.
Yeah.
I mean, how would you describe them?
I mean, they're kind of just like classic rock and roll.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Like, they definitely, I feel like they had a little bit more of an edge to them. But they weren't like, I don't know. It didn't feel like they were trying to be a metal band. It didn't feel like they were trying to do anything. They were being themselves, and they were just rock and roll. They did some really awesome covers.
And their vocals really...
Their singer was ripping.
Like, they did a lot of like falsetto-y kind of stuff that really harkened back to like some 80s hair metal. Felt really cool and nostalgic, but their own take on it, of course.
Yeah.
Felt new.
I dug them.
Yeah.
They were great, awesome dudes too. Just hung out and chatted with them after the show. Wonderful fellows. And then we're recording this Monday, and it'll come out later this week. Sunday night, we played at the Beehive.
Yeah.
With CJ Coop. Did a little acoustic set, which he's never done before. He's the singer for Racist Kramer.
And it went really well.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. I mean,
a lot of the times when there's a singer-songwriter amongst bands, you just kind of watch the crowd lose interest and filter outside, and everybody was glued to his set, listening, hanging on every note.
Well, I mean, he's so talented. He's a phenomenal songwriter.
Yeah.
And he has such an incredible voice. So, not terribly surprising. He got asked to play the show a day before the show. The other opening band.
That's not a lot of notice.
Pirates of the Promised Land. They all got pink eye.
They all got pink eye.
Oh, so goodness. They had to cancel
those pirates and their
and their booty.
Pirates are not well known for
hygiene
practices.
So they called CJ. Good on him, just finding someone to fill in. And CJ came and played, and actually ended up playing one of Pirates' songs. Which was awesome.
Cool. I didn't know that. I missed that detail.
And he did such a good job. He's so good. And then Billy Liar was on tour.
That's the one from your hat.
Yeah, I'm wearing their hat right now the
pickleback hat.
The pickleback hat. As soon as he was like, "We love picklebacks," I was like, "I'm gonna like this band."
We're like
right before they played.
Say less.
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, you like whiskey? You're in good company."
Whiskey and pickles. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So they absolutely ripped. They put on such a cool show. They're just kind of like a ripping punk band, and they covered a Rancid song.
Yeah, really well.
Their stage presence was incredible.
Oh my gosh.
Their vocals were great.
They're all tall and skinny, and all of them can kick about 7 feet in the air.
Their bass player, we were playing at the Beehive, formerly Bar Deluxe.
Yeah.
So if anybody remembers what it's like in there, there's a big like pole in the middle of the stage, like this big girder. And their bass player was not only putting his leg on it, but putting his leg like over his head up on the pole.
Yeah, almost all the way to the roof.
Yeah, and he was a tall dude. He was probably 6'3".
Yeah.
And then like he would put his bass under his legs, under his leg, and play it between his legs with one leg like way up in the air. Oh
yeah.
man.
I mean, they had the songs. Their vocal harmonies were super tight. The image matched the music.
Yeah.
The activity and things that they were doing and kicking and the way that they were moving their guitars and interacting with each other. And I mean, they had a very like planned sequence of events that went around the music. Like they did one of those like classic like fake out endings.
Yeah.
And like the singer turned around and like made it look like the song was over and people started clapping, and then they like came back in with the chorus again.
Yeah. They were awesome.
But yeah, just world class. Everything about that was just.
And that was their last night on tour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Billy is from Scotland, and he's been over here for like 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Did a bunch of stuff in the Northwest and played a bunch of shows, and we were the last show. And then he was flying home.
Yeah, I caught that the bass player lives in like the greater Philly area.
Yeah, he lives in Philadelphia. He's a fellow luthier, so he and I nerded out for a while.
And he also plays, the way that we got connected with him is he plays bass in Murder by Death.
No, it's the drummer.
The drummer does.
Dagan, yeah.
Oh, Dagan is, oh yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how we got connected.
Yeah.
And then that makes a lot more sense. Now it makes sense that all of his drum cases had MBD on them.
Yeah.
But he lives in the greater Philly area. Where does the drummer's from?
He's in Portland.
He's in Portland. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then
saying, come to Portland.
And the other guitar player's from LA. He's a tattoo artist.
Yeah.
And all of them just sweethearts.
Yeah.
We definitely stayed far later than we expected. Just talking shop with them.
Yeah, an extra hour of just standing out on the curb and
swapping tour stories, and oh man, what a bunch of sweethearts. I wish we could just go on tour with them. What a blast.
Oh, that would be ideal.
Yeah. Oh, also we brought CJ Coop up on stage.
Yes.
CJ in his other band, Racist Kramer, they're a punk band. They're phenomenal. Check them out.
You'll probably hear members of them playing in the background.
Yeah, their
other band.
Yeah. They were asked to cover a Folk Hogan song when they were asked to play at someone's wedding. And the song was No Means Jeff, which, like, who doesn't want a song about Jeffrey Dahmer played at their wedding?
Perfect. I mean, it's like Careless Whisper.
Yeah, so
just a
they learned that.
Murder
So
love song.
There's been multiple times where CJ's been at a show and we've just pulled him on stage.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get him up on stage, and he was like shaking his head, and I just kept telling him to get up, and finally he just ran up and started singing along.
Yeah. And you
then
jumped over to the next mic down the road.
Yeah. And then he tried to, you tried to hand him the guitar to play the guitar solo.
Yeah. And he was like,
He was like, I haven't played it in a while.
I was like, it's okay.
It's fine. It was a blast, though. What a sweetheart. Yeah, in fact, his girlfriend, the night that they had their first date, they were just going to, like, go out for the evening, and they went to Piper Down, and we were playing there. And when they walked in, he was like, oh, I know these guys. I'm going to go up and wave hello. So they walked up right as we were starting No Means Jeff.
Yeah.
And you just handed him the guitar, and he just got on stage and played the song.
This poor woman is like...
Yeah. And so he got off stage, and she was like, did you plan this?
Is this a normal thing?
He was like, no, I swear to God,
I didn't even know they were playing here.
Yeah.
They're like, who are you?
Yeah. It's pretty humorous.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So that was her introduction to him and us, which is pretty hilarious. So yeah. So we just sort of we spent a bunch of episodes going through the upcoming album, which we have still not named.
Blorp's Happy Castle.
Blorp's Happy Castle is on the list. We might go there. We'll see. And so we're gonna start going through some old songs, and we're just gonna work our ways backwards.
Yeah.
So
talk about some old recordings. Talk about some tours. Everything.
Old times. Boy, we've had them. So the release previous, the most recent release was V5, which came out in July. It's just a 5-song EP. It's also our, our first release after Canyon left the band, our old accordion player.
Yep.
And it was pretty interesting because it was like
it answered the question on everybody's mind of what's this band going to sound like without accordion, which is it's been such a key like pillar.
Yeah.
Of the sound.
3 of the 5 songs on here are songs that we had played with accordion in the past. And suddenly, we kind of had to reformulate the songs to figure out how to play them, because suddenly there was this empty space that we didn't know how to get around. So we had to change our parts a little bit. So we changed those songs, and then we learned 2 other songs and went and recorded those. And so first we're going to talk about Play Fast, Drink Whiskey. Play Fast, Drink Whiskey is a song I've wanted to write since about 2014, when I got a tattoo on my arm of my mandolin that says Play Fast, Drink Whiskey.
It does.
And I always thought that's a good song title. I should write that song someday. So I always had the idea for it, but I just never really, it was never something that I jumped on and tried to write. And then when we actually got to Spring City in 2020, for those of you that have been listening to the episodes, when we wrote a bunch of the songs that are on the upcoming album, this was a song that we also wrote there. Canyon and I sat down and I was like, look, I want a song called Play Fast, Drink Whiskey. It's going to be a fast song. It's going to be about drinking whiskey. The chorus is going to be Play Fast, Drink Whiskey.
On the nose.
And it should just be a song about hanging out with your pals, playing songs, and getting rowdy.
Yeah.
And so that's what came out of it. The first verse is basically just about hey, grab your friends, grab a guitar or instrument, whatever. It doesn't matter who you are or what you know how to play. Just show up and scream along.
I want to listen to a little bit of it, and then let's talk about where some of the lyrics came from.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'd love to talk about the lyrics in the second verse,
because they're so unique.
We'll just play through the song.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about
the
lyrics. Here you go. Play Fast, Drink Whiskey.
Sing your song.
If you're just rejoining us, this is the Folk Hogan Morning Fart Hour. There's a little bit of slowing on the 101. There's a flip trailer, so go ahead and watch for that. We're going to go to Moses, our eye in the sky. Alexa, play fart. People are going to love that one.
So, you may have noticed a familiar voice on that. We recorded that song before Canyon left the band.
Oh, yeah. And released it as a single.
And then did the full release the following year. So that second verse, we were trying to, we initially had more verses to this song, as we frequently do, and just had to cut some down. But the second verse was one we were refusing to cut out. And the lyrics for the second verse make absolutely no sense because they're all song titles. Every lyric is a song title.
I've been wondering for months and months and months.
So,
was that just like a random string of words?
No. So we had to sit down and write out 50 songs that we knew we had played a lot when we were hanging out and drinking. And then we had to basically pick song titles that we could fit into the metric requirement of the song, right? And it's hilarious because there's the lyrics are just basically gibberish unless you know that.
Yeah, I literally, till I'm finding out now, thought it was just. I assumed it was just gibberish, or it was parroting a parody of a Bob Dylan song that's in Walk Hard.
Right. Yeah. So the lyrics for the second verse are Journey to the End of East Bay, a Rancid song. Wild World, a Cat Stevens song. Anyways, a song by Dynamite Hack, going way back. Yeah. Drain the Blood by the Distillers.
Okay.
El Paso by Jason Anderson.
Okay.
Yesterday by the Beatles, which, by the way, is not a fast song.
No.
But it fit lyrically for us to put it in there. Chop Suey by System of a Down. Drugs Are Good by NoFX. Stick to Your Guns by Bon Jovi.
Okay.
Norwegian Wood, also a Beatles song.
Okay.
Barroom Hero, Dropkick Murphys.
Yep.
Royal Jelly, which is a Dewey Cox song from Walk Hard.
Okay, so I wasn't totally up in the night.
Strawberry Wine, which was a country song back in the 90s.
Okay.
And Sweet Caroline by Neil Diamond.
Yeah.
So that's that verse. It makes it makes no sense unless you understand that.
That's great.
But when we were cutting verses from the song, we were just we have to keep this in. It's for no reason other than it
too good.
For no reason other than it took us a long time to put it together.
Gotta figure out how to make money on this.
Yeah, exactly. It was basically just sunk cost fallacy. We've invested a bunch of time into this, so therefore we're going to use it. Quick shout out to Cameron's absolutely ripping banjo solo.
Yeah, what the hell?
This is we have a couple songs like this. There's another one on this release that is a really fast song that has a banjo solo in it. And
not easy.
Right away when we started practicing the song and he started working on the solo, it was a conversation with Sebastian of just okay, you literally can't go any faster than this.
If you play this 5 beats a minute faster,
I will not be able to play
that boy is going to light on fire.
And I think a perfect example that that's not true
He's holding a piece of wood.
For as fast as this song is, last night at the Billy Liar show, Sebastian played at 50 BPM. I mean, it was so fast that in the verses, I kept thinking I don't have space to take a breath.
Oh no.
Like I'm literally spitting the lyrics out so fast that I don't have time to breathe. So when Cameron's banjo solo came in after the first verse, I was like, oh, we'll see how this goes. And he nailed it. He played it great.
Of course he did.
It was 95% on point.
Oh man. I love that. I love
simply
when
knew
you know a song and you see it live and there's changes to it.
Yeah.
That's a great joy in, being a fan.
Yeah.
Being a fanatic.
So frequently, I'm just not as good of a musician as Cameron. So when it comes to my mandolin solo, if the song's too fast, I will run around the crowd and just give everyone high fives. Because I'm like, I'm just not going to embarrass myself. Because I've tried it enough times to know that I'm going to embarrass myself.
But your regular solo is like a hodgepodge of like 4 different solos that you had been working on for different pieces, right?
Yeah, basically, I had written a bunch of different solos to this and just wasn't happy with any of them. And the day before we went into the studio, I was like, well, what if I just like take the portions of the solos that I like and put them together?
Yeah.
So I had like 1 day of practice to play that solo. And so it's like multiple takes of me playing that like smushed together, which I can play.
Yeah, of course.
But not as good as Cameron plays his part, that's for sure. Anyways, and then the third verse is about like the end of the party when the cops show up and tell everyone not to be so rowdy, and we're just saying like, no, we want to have a good time. We're gonna stay up late and we're gonna play songs, and we're gonna have ourselves a blast. And I think this song really harkens back to like the early days of Folk Hogan, the sort of first album of all the drinking songs, and you know, the rowdier aspects of our early days. I think it really harkens back to that, and it's fun. It's like basically a bluegrass song.
Yeah,
I love it. I love this song. It's an absolute hoot. We had such a fun time. We also recorded this with Wes, where we recorded the new album, and we had this idea the year before that we were going to go around town and we were going to record singles at different studios. And we were going to basically see like, oh, maybe we can find a studio we like doing singles, and then we can do a full album there once we find a place we're comfortable with. And so we did the first single, Play Fast, Drink Whiskey, with Wes. And we basically never left. We were just like, okay.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Oh, never mind. That was an idea, and that was a path, and that's how we got here. But we've recorded enough over the years to know like this is the right fit, and when something is just like perfect, you know?
The way that Wes works, he's very economical. He's good at getting things done quickly, and one of the things that I learned a lot about him from this most recent record was, if I come up with some harebrained idea, I can be like, hey, Wes, what if we did this stupid thing? He'll be like,
so
let's make it happen.
Fast, you know, works within the budget, but also when it's time to pump the brakes and do something really off the wall and cool, like he's not going to say no. He's like, yes, and what if we did this?
Yeah, just a pleasure to work with.
And that's how we got, you know, the echo chamber between the two buildings that we put in at the end of All the Good Things Die in San Diego. That's how we got the spooky warbly vocals by putting them through a
Leslie.
I was thinking Thurman. Well, Leslie. That are the backings for what's that
Soul
song?
Harvester.
Soul Harvester. Yeah.
And like the weird ethereal noises at the beginning of
San
Diego.
Yeah, we talked about the taking all of the negative space from the banjo and just lots of running things back through effects and in a very like analog sense.
Yeah.
Not just like, oh, let's go buy this thing off of the internet.
Yeah.
It was all like, we could create that by using this, and this.
Yep.
It's like, sure, like if we were just like, hey, you know, put some reverb on it. He's like, you know, I got 1,000 plugins for Pro Tools, whatever. But it's like, let's create some reverb.
Yeah.
By setting up this space. Then he's like, yeah, that's how we do it.
He likes to do cool stuff.
And then you have a sound that's unique to that recording process that isn't just like it's on this Casio keyboard setting 2.
Yeah.
And that's the song.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a blast. And when we recorded that single, it was exactly as you would expect. We were pounding whiskey in the recording studio and hooting and hollering. We did that whole song in one day, start to finish.
Yeah, that was the time constraint was awesome.
Yeah, did it in one day, and it was a blast.
Feels so good to start a day early and end late and just be like, that is it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, we'll talk about this when we get to like the earlier albums, but the first 2 albums, we all took like a week off of work and were there, 12 hours a day, just absolutely busting, trying to get everything done.
Yeah.
Which it's fun to do that as well, but it was so refreshing to be able to go in for a day, everyone like try to blast through their part as soon as they could and leave at the end of the day with a finished song.
Yeah. How do we take the magic of when we had the space and time to just be there all day, every day, and fit that into our current lives and schedules and all the things that we have going on.
Yeah.
Where, now that we're touring internationally here and there, like we don't have that extra capacity to say, and we'll take 3 weeks off this year to record, to sit in a studio and stare at the walls.
Yeah.
While one person is working. Instead, it was like, let's take that energy. Let's take all the good parts out of that.
Yeah.
Leave all the bad behind and just run with it.
Yeah. I'm super proud of Play Fast, Drink Whiskey. I wouldn't have been happy about my tattoo if I wasn't proud of the song.
I know that's risky.
The tattoo a long time before.
That's risky. Anytime something's tattooed and it's tied into an active creative thing.
Imagine how I would have felt if that song sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have to just get it
updated. It's just good time to let everyone know to think about your tattoos.
What's your Hulk Hogan tattoo?
Get tattoos of smart things, because there's people out there that have Bill Cosby tattoos.
Oh, there is.
Because they were like, oh, he's funny, Jello guy. Yeah. So don't get tattoos of living people. Maybe that's probably the best.
Yeah.
Or maybe just people in general.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a family member you loved.
And I mean, we didn't know that like Hulk Hogan was going to be like President Comancho, and
didn't know he was going to be a shitty racist.
There's been so much
fascist.
There's been
idiot.
so much.
Yeah.
There's been so much. There's been so much bad news and publicity about him in 14 years, and we're like, oh, I mean, it is just a name. It's just a spoonerism. It's just it's just a pun.
People, I have been asked after there was a recording of Hulk Hogan that came out where he was dropping the N-word real hard.
Oh no.
And this was like a decade ago. And I remember people being like, you guys going to change your name? It's like, no, we didn't choose the name because of Hulk Hogan.
We're not super huge 80s wrestling fans.
it just was a thing. A good example of this is Racist Kramer.
Yeah.
Everyone sees their band name and assumes they're like a racist band. They're not. They're not. It's it's a play on the fact that Michael Richards was a racist jerk, and they were like, hey, people should be aware that this dude is racist.
Lost his fucking mind on stage one night.
Yeah, and so
and just had to atone for that mistake.
Yeah, he deserved it. So we're not changing our band name anytime soon. Let's move on to the next song on that album. A little song called "The Fall."
Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah. And we're going to start this one off by just listening to it.
Yeah.
It's a long one, but it's good.
What is this, a music podcast?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to talk. I mean, we can't just play this song without talking about what the hell was that percussion, the chord changes in this song, the bass line.
Yeah.
And that vocal ending at the end with all that do. Yeah. The layers.
So I've talked on this podcast before about how sometimes we've recorded songs that I've had sitting around for years and years and years. And like, an idea gets chopped up and reassembled and chopped up and reassembled over and over again. And like, there is no song that we have ever done that has as long of a process as this song. When I initially wrote the main verse part, which is just F sharp minor to D, I wrote that in probably 2012.
Oh, wow.
And it was a completely different song. Different lyrics, different choruses, didn't have the cool intro. And then, at that time we were working on all the stuff for the show. So I didn't feel like it would fit in there. So it's one of those things that just got shelved for a while. And then, a couple of years later, I would pull it out, write some new parts to it, and then back burner it again. And then I'd pull it back out, erase some parts, write some new parts, work on it here and there. At some point, I came up with that big intro section. I have video of Cameron and I playing that intro section in like 2018.
Oh, wow.
And I know that basically the version that exists here, with the exception of like that sort of coda section, that was all written out by like 2018. And in 2018 or 2019, I brought it to the band and I was like, hey, let's work on this song.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure you probably remember this. We worked on it for a while. I want to say it was maybe 2 months.
Yeah.
Something like that. And it took us a long time just to get through the intro.
Yeah. It's so complex.
As I recall, I don't think we made it. I don't think we made it past the first chorus. And part of that was, these kind of things happen in a band. Like sometimes you bring a song to a band and you're like, hey, this is what I want to do. And you play through it for a while and then you're just like, it's not working. Or you play through it and someone just goes, I don't like this.
Yeah.
And
you're dealing with, something that you've created and a bunch of external feedback, and it's getting pushed and pulled. And
yeah. Kenny and I used to talk about this all the time. Like, when you write a song for a band like Folk Hogan that has as many people in it as it does, and we function very much as a equal partnership, you just have to be okay with that song getting changed before you ever bring it to the band.
Yeah.
Because when you have that many people are going to have ideas. And so if you are resistant to someone's idea of like, let's change this, then you're probably going to end up with an inferior song. Yeah. Because once you get other viewpoints on it, then it's like, oh, it'd be cool as if we did this thing. And it's like, you can add so much nuance to a song. You can add so many, like there's been times in the past where Cameron has been like, what if that chord was a seventh? Like something as simple as that just like shifts the feel of a part. And that's just something you have to be okay with. And sometimes people just don't like the song. And you also can't take that personally.
Yeah.
It's really hard not to when you've like poured yourself into something like that, but you just can't take it personally. And that's hard. There's been plenty of times where I've like taken something personally and then, in the days afterwards been like, it's just a song. Like, and
yeah, I mean, the way that this band is structured, you have to be really, really comfortable with critique and iteration and just that, bringing that ball of clay to a bunch of talent and having it just leave, maybe never getting finished, maybe not looking anything like it came into the room as.
A good example of this, I may have brought this up before, but when we, in like 2011, when Canyon wrote March of the Drunkards and we were learning it, that's a song that Canyon wrote. I did not write that song. I had almost no part in writing that song. I think we had like a session or two, but I think Canyon had most of it written. When we brought it to the band, there was a change that was made, and I remember like being very firm about like we should not make this change, and I was outvoted, and that's how it works in the band, so I just had to go along with it. But I remember being devastated and being like, I can't, like, we have ruined this song.
Yeah.
This part was so cool.
And then you have to play it multiple times a week for years.
Yes. But the funny thing about that is, like, a month later, it occurred to me, like, oh, wow, what was the part we changed?
Yeah.
And I couldn't even remember it. And so it's like, did it actually matter that I didn't want it to change? So me being devastated over it was completely pointless, because that's just what the song became, and I loved that song. So like,
I mean, I can remember
change anything about it.
I can remember points of, not specific examples, but I can remember points where, we'd be in, as much of a friendly way as possible, arguing out ideas and it getting, somewhat emotional. And then by the next time we picked that song up a few weeks later, those two members didn't even remember discussing it, and it was back to some old version, or it just morphed into the new version, or hey, we're only going to do this way,
or someone comes in and goes, oh, I've got another idea. That's just how it functions. And like, this is one of the things that's very difficult for a lot of people when they're in bands, is not taking those things personally. When I was 11 years old, I got my first instrument, which was a drum kit. And my dad came up the stairs, and I was like banging away at the drum kit. And he was like, so what do you want to do? Do you want to just play for fun? Do you want to be in a band? What's the deal? And I was like, yeah, I want to be in a band. I want to be like Ringo. I want to play the drums. And he was like, okay. I've been in bands for like 25 years at this point. And he was like, I'm going to tell you the most important thing that I've learned in all of that time. Being in a band has nothing to do with making music and everything to do with dealing with people. At one point, the Beatles hated each other. Pink Floyd hated each other. Name any band. At one point, the people in that band absolutely hated each other, but they managed to go in and still function together. And that will make all of the difference. So I've carried that through my life as a musician, of just like, if we can work with each other, then it's okay to have disagreements. It's okay to not get your way. There's tons of songs that have parts in them that when those parts were put in songs, I was like, I don't like this. Blood from a Stone has this, like, Seb does like a thrash beat in the little instrument break.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate it.
Yeah.
But how often does Seb go, this is a part that I think needs to be in this song and I want to do it.
Yeah.
And even though like I could be like, well, I wrote this song and I could be a jerk about it, would it end up being a better song for me doing that? No, probably not.
Yeah.
The reality is, just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's not a good part in the song. And I was acutely aware the first time that he played that part and everyone else was like, that was cool. I was like, shit. All right. Well.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many, there's been so many points in that. I mean, even on, I remember Cameron wanted, I started a design project for Cameron.
Uh-huh.
And he wanted a metal Hulk Hogan logo.
Yeah.
And and we just thought that was going to be the funniest thing ever, and created it. And it was just like this inside joke kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then we were looking for a t-shirt design, and the band by this point it had been passed around. Everybody had seen it, and they're like, we should print that.
Yeah.
And me, the person that created it, and our drummer at the time were Curtis, we're like, I don't think people are going to get it. Like, I don't, it's kind of an inside joke. It doesn't really represent like what we're doing. It's not, creatives don't really like to talk about things being on or off brand because it feels very corporate.
Yeah.
But, that's the fastest way I can summarize. Like, it doesn't fit into the Folk Hogan ecosystem that we've created.
Yeah.
And we put it out there, and it was like the highest selling t-shirt
still to this day
that we ever, and we're
almost.
like, why did we underestimate? And so, we ate crow on that, because why did we underestimate that our fans wouldn't get this joke, or wouldn't look at that shirt and just be like, that's hilarious, I love it.
Yeah. That's being in a band.
The band's called Folk Hogan, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Like, of course.
So
of course we're going to play around with.
So all of this is to say that these are normal things that happen in bands.
Yep.
Because, and the reason I bring this up is in 2018 or 2019, whenever it was that we were working on the song, really working on it for the first time, other than just like playing around with it here and there. Canyon just hated it.
Yeah.
And he just we would play it, and everyone would be like trying to focus to do their thing, and he would just sit there, and you could tell he was like racking his brain trying to like find a thing to do in the song.
Yeah.
And he just was like, I can't find a place for the accordion in the song, which broke my heart, because like part of the reason that I wrote that intro, that weird, crazy intro, was because Canyon was so heavily influenced by classical music that I was like, oh, he's gonna love this, because it's just like a place for him to like do crazy classical things. But he just couldn't find it. So after like 2 months, I had to just go, you know what, let's not work on this anymore.
Yeah.
It's not working. Canyon can't find a spot, and there's nothing bad about that. Sometimes that's just how it works. And it made me sad, but I wasn't like upset about it. It was like, oh, I really like that song. It's a shame that it's not going to work out. But that's being in a band.
Yeah.
And so years go by, right? And last year, Canyon lets us all know he's leaving the band. We had a chat and decided we were going to keep going. And the very first practice after that, I showed up with I had gone through a bunch of my old songs, and I was like, okay, what do you guys want to do? We could do this, we could do this, we could do this. And Cameron, Scott, and Seb were just like, we want that song. Yeah. We want to do that song.
Let's do that one again. Yeah.
And it was like, I was so excited. I was like, oh, I didn't even think about it. Now's a chance for us to really focus on this crazy, weird song that has so much going on in it. And we started playing it, and pretty much right away, Seb was like, oh, I could do a little kind of Latin beat to it. And immediately Scott fell into that Latin bass groove. And it completely reshaped the song. It went from just being this weird song to oh, this is a whole thing now. And now the whole song has a feel to it.
Made it so fun.
Completely changed it. That is equally as big of a contribution as me writing the rest of the song. That's how I feel about it.
I'm glad that you recognize that. Yes and no, but also the reaction that we get from those parts.
Yeah. Because it's not
because it's just
any of our other stuff.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's man, it's such a fun song to play live. It's complex. The chorus, I'm fond of saying, has I think, if I remember correctly, 19 chord changes in the chorus.
Gosh, yeah. which
is too many, quite frankly.
I was just giving you a hard time the whole time. No, I don't have any more room on the page.
Yeah.
Moses, we talked about write a 3-chord song.
Yeah. So it's just like, and the song's all over the place. It does all sorts of stuff. And then there's that kind of instrument break in the middle where it goes to just the bass. And then there's a ton of like auxiliary percussion stuff going on. And what happened was we rented a bunch of percussion stuff from Backbeats. Some
Drum
congas,
shop here in Murray, Utah.
Yeah, some congas, some timbales. And then Wes had like a number of, shakers and afouches and stuff like that. So,
what was that last one? Is that the thing that goes?
It's a bunch of chains around.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking
piece
about.
Of metal.
Yeah, those are cool.
And
they have a name.
And so we went in to like record this stuff, and Seb was like, "I'll play the timbales," and I was like, "I'll play the congas," and so we went in, and Seb's doing this like brilliant take of timbales, and I'm over there acting like acting like a non-drummer playing drums. Yes, I started out on drums, but I'm a long ways away from that, and I just like. It was so bad.
Yeah.
It was so bad that we actually talked about leaving it in as a joke. Like, oof. That's how bad it was. Thankfully, we didn't. So Seb did the timbales, he did the shakers, he did the congas, he did all this auxiliary percussion stuff, really got to flex his drummer brain.
I don't remember where I went, but I remember going and getting like a burrito or something.
Yeah.
Because there's probably a 99% chance it was to go get a burrito. Coming back, and it had just gotten weird. You guys had done all of this stuff in like a short period of time, and I was just like, what?
Yeah, typical Seb. Like, went in and basically did like 3-4 takes of something at most.
Yeah.
You know, most stuff he does like 1 or 2 takes.
Yeah.
And again, like it just transformed the song completely. Scott's bass line, same thing, just like puts such a cool feel on things. The two of those, that rhythm section locking in together on that kind of Latin beat, just is money in that song. It completely makes that song. Then there's that instrument break, and there's like this weird kind of like oscillating noise. That is literally me with delay on my mandolin rubbing a beer bottle on the strings.
Yeah.
That's what that sound is.
Yeah, I got a really good video of it.
Or too. A can maybe.
Yeah.
And it's a blast, that entire song. And then that very last section was a kind of a late addition. I feel like I don't think I added that section until early in the 2020s. And it didn't have lyrics. And I wanted to put lyrics to it, and I just never thought of lyrics. And it wasn't until we were really working on it that I was like, okay, I got to think of lyrics here. So now's a good time to talk about the lyrical content of the song. So the theme of this song is the rise and fall of empires, and how they rise and fall, and how that affects the general populace, and you know, how that sort of cyclical nature of empires exists in the world. So, you know, the first lyrics in the song are, "We have seen the hearts of our fathers and their kings who killed one another. They should have known what history has shown. We are hewn from the stone of the ruins they built." We have, as humans, we have not only survived these rises and falls of empires, but we have essentially been raised in the rubble of empires as a new empire is forming. We are constantly surrounded by the leaders of empires who are gobbling up as much money and opulence as they can in order to have a more extravagant lifestyle, while the rest of us are the ones that go and die on the battlefields. It's our families that are, crushed. It's us that spill our blood in, out in the grasslands and in the sands of the world. And so it's sort of a song talking to those people in those positions of power, of just like, look, if this is the chorus, if that's what you want, you can have it all. And all is, you can have that rise of an empire. You may be lucky enough to be in a good spot on that, but eventually, if you continue to take from your fellow man, it will crumble, and you will crumble with it. If that's what you want, you can have it all. You reap what you sow, and those seeds will grow to lose all their leaves in the fall. Everything has this cyclical nature, and not only do trees have the cyclical nature, but empires do as well. In soil, you'll find we are just life plus time. It's a riddle we made in our mind. Don't you know? We're all just here. We're all just life. And if we're, I know it sounds like crazy hippie stuff, but like that, we are all just basically monkeys in shoes. And and to think that we know better than each other necessarily is not always the smartest plan. Just like with bringing a song to the band and trying, and the more minds we can put on something, the more likely we are to find something that works better for everyone. And that is all punctuated by that last singing section in the song. Fields of grain, fields of pain grow to grain. The same battlefields that the general populace has to go and die on for some power structure somewhere, those are the places that we can, in return, grow from and try to achieve something better, grow to grain that can feed each other. From all of that pain, we can try to build something better together. As I said, like we were born in rubble. We have grown in rubble. We exist in the rubble of the incredible atrocities that we have perpetrated throughout the world. And, make no mistake, every war is an atrocity. Everybody has family. Everybody has people that they care for. And ultimately, like, we're all just looking for a place to be happy and love each other and have a comfortable couch and like be able to eat dinner, and go about our lives as we see fit, as long as we're not hurting anyone else. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who don't like that idea. And if we're not able to work together, ultimately, I do think that's what everyone wants, but we have to find a way to work together to accomplish those things. So that's like the overview of what this song is about, which is, it's pretty heavy. I remember one time before we learned this song, we were writing in the band van, and there was that meme going around for a while of people saying like, what is your Roman Empire, right? Like, it started with this like a TikTok or an Instagram reel or something of someone saying, "Oh, you should ask your boyfriend how often he thinks about the fall of the Roman Empire."
Yeah,
because because it's a thing that like apparently men think about a lot. And I remember Scott bringing that up in the van once and being like, "How about you, Moses? Do you think of the fall of the Roman Empire a lot?" And I was like, "Yep, just about every day." And he was like, "That's insane. Like once a week would be normal. Why do you think about it every day?" And I was like, "Because I wrote this song that has been stuck in my head for basically 10 years."
Yeah.
And
it directed, the whole theme of this album. And
so
a lot of thought around
that's
that.
The Fall. I love that song. It's It's a fun time. It's a blast to play because people always are kind of shocked by it because it's so different from everything else. I love the lyrical content of it. I love the message that's in it. I love playing it. I love hearing everybody's part. There's this banjo part that Cameron does in it that's just like, he's just kind of like holding one chord and just doing this triplet thing, and it just like gives it such an uneasy feeling. And there's so much cool stuff in this song. So
yeah, so go listen to it again.
Yeah.
And we're going to keep, on the next episode, we're going to keep talking about this V EP that we put out. And so...
Yeah, speaking of which...
Go buy it.
You can find it on streaming sites, but if you want a really cool vinyl record of it, head over to our website, folkhogan.com/shop. And you can check out, we have 2 vinyls for sale. And one of them is this album, V. And it's a 5-song EP. It's a purple vinyl. It's real pretty. And it's got the 2 songs you heard today. And I love it a whole bunch. So if you're able to, I know times are tight for everyone, but if you're able to... head over to pick it up. You can use the code VinylPunk. That's VINYLPUNK. You'll get yourself a discount. And yeah, other than that, till next time.
Buy some media. Yeah. Because you can't roll a joint on the back of an MP3.
That's right. Don't forget.
There's nowhere on the Spotify to do it.
Well said. All right. We'll miss you guys. Mwah.
Hey, this ain't your bed. She woke me up and said, so I guess you'll be taking the morning train home again. It's hard walking home, could be chances blown. But the night it was so sweet, your skin and your moans. And they say there's nothing worse than sleeping alone, sleeping alone, but I'll be just fine on my own. another night, another light she wanders on in. So we head back to mine, and she lets me on in. And she turns to me to say, oh darling, can I please stay? Well, I think you should go home,